When I married Daniel, I thought he was the kind of man who would always put up with my mistakes. He was quiet, patient, and never raised his voice. I, on the other hand, had a sharp tongue and often said things without thinking. One evening, while we were having dinner with a few of our closest friends, I made a joke at his expense. Everyone laughed, including me, but I could see a flicker of hurt in his eyes. I brushed it off, thinking he would forget about it as he always did. The joke wasn't small either. I mocked him for being too soft, saying he wasn't man enough, compared to the husbands of my friends. My friends laughed loudly, and for a moment, I felt powerful. But the silence that followed Daniel's polite smile told me I had crossed a line I couldn't see yet. After that night, Daniel acted normal. He still helped me around the house, still asked me how my day was, and still went to work as usual. But there was a calmness in him that felt heavier than usual. He didn't argue or defend himself. Instead, he let my words sit there, unchallenged. I thought I had won, but in reality, I had just lit a fuse. 3 days later, I found out what that calm silence meant. Daniel invited our friends over again. I was surprised because he usually never arranged these things himself. He cooked dinner, set the table, and treated everyone with unusual warmth. I thought he was simply trying to smooth things over. When everyone sat down, he cleared his throat and said, "Before we start dinner, I have something to share." His voice was calm, but his eyes carried a weight I hadn't seen before. I felt a nervous twist in my stomach as he looked directly at me. Then, with a steady tone, he began recounting the story of our marriage, how I had supported him at first but slowly turned his patience into a weapon against him. He didn't exaggerate or insult me, he just spoke the truth. He mentioned times I belittled him in public, laughed at his dreams, or dismissed his efforts. With every word, my friend's eyes shifted from him to me, their expressions slowly changing. I tried to interrupt, but he held up his hand and said, "Please, let me finish." He then revealed how much my words that night had hurt him, especially because they came in front of the very people he had always respected. "Respect is a two-way road," he said quietly, "and I can't continue walking it alone." By the time he was done, the room was so quiet you could hear the clock ticking on the wall. No one laughed. No one defended me. I sat frozen, ashamed, realizing that the same friends who had laughed at my joke were now looking at me with disapproval. Daniel didn't shout or insult me. His revenge was sharper than that. He let the truth stand as it was, undeniable and clear. And in that truth, my pride collapsed. After dinner, our friends left quickly, each giving me a glance that stung more than their silence. Daniel calmly gathered the plates, as though nothing had happened, while I sat there in disbelief. For the first time, I realized he had more strength than I ever gave him credit for. That night, he didn't sleep in our room. He took a blanket and lay on the couch, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The house felt colder than it ever had before. In the days that followed, our friends stopped calling me as often. Some even avoided me altogether. My words had damaged not just my marriage but also my place among them. Daniel, meanwhile, seemed lighter, as though he had finally freed himself from carrying the weight of my mockery. I wanted to apologize, but no words seemed enough. My husband hadn't taken revenge by shouting or hurting me. He had simply exposed me for who I had become. And in doing so, he taught me a lesson harsher than anything else. Respect once broken is not easily repaired. Now, every time I look at him, I wonder if I'll ever regain the trust one threw away with a careless laugh. 3 days was all it took for him to show me the cost of my pride, and I am left with the bitter truth that his silence was never weakness. It was strength waiting for the right moment.